I think this idea that you're talking about
Right.
really does come back to forgiveness.
Right.
If we had a culture and a society that was spiritually based and could forgive, when a situation like this happened, which would be rare, the community would rush in and there would be
Exactly.
restoration and healing for
Right.
all families and all things that went, not the loss of the child,
Right.
but as much as possible. So this idea is really
Right.
your personal story, but Azim, it's the story of everybody in our nation and our world right now. We need forgiveness.
Yeah, I was fortunate when I was hosted in Italy by the late John Paul. We spent 2 days with this Dalai Lama. That was 5-day conference, and the last 2 days was with Dalai Lama. And it's unfortunate that Tibet does not exist, because by far, if you look at a political system or a democracy, then the Tibetan form of government was the most spiritual and the most compassionate.
You know, you mentioned earlier in our conversation that there are limits to the intellect. Einstein, of course, said this as well. It cannot lead. Knowledge does have limits, and they could not help you when you had to endure this loss of your son and then the challenge to forgive. Even the limits of the heart and the emotions for a human being are too small to confine or contain the kind of suffering we're talking about. We're talking about another place or another source that sustained you. What I'd like to focus on now is the spiritual dimensions of forgiving and really how they are applicable to very, very mundane circumstances of our day-to-day lives. You're saying you never go down to those lower vibrational frequencies. You always try to smile on it and show compassion and show love. Many of us are struggling even with the small things. When people cut us off, we get angry and get enraged. Or when people gossip or say the wrong thing or don't include us, anger and frustration. There's so many relatives, as you know, I'm sure you do workshops on forgiveness, so you know this. Don't talk to their own sisters. Don't talk to their friend from high school that they were best friends with for 20 years because of something silly. Forgiveness is a great idea, but to actually do it is hard for people to understand. Okay, I agree. I should forgive. Tell me how. I describe as 7 shelters of forgiveness. That forgiveness shelters us. It's not really about, I think it peripherally impacts other people that we forgive, but it's really about the self and about the transformation of the self. And so it's a gift we give ourselves. I think you've also said that as well. And that forgiveness, in my book, is sort of a series of 7 shelters that we can take refuge in, that can provide a place.
It's a selfish thing to do. You do it for yourself.
You do it for yourself. It actually extends out miraculously and touches the world around you, as it did for Tony Hicks' family, for the schools here in San Diego, for the people around the world who learned your message of forgiveness. Of course, it touched them. You couldn't have survived without forgiveness, though. It was selfish in the sense that you needed to do it for your own soul's journey,
Absolutely.
for your own survival, and to focus on the good in the person, to see their innocence. They've done these sins. They've done these terrible things. Do you have any comments or thoughts about that?
I think that everybody has something good in them. Even criminals have something of value buried within them. My experience is that that's what you focus on. You stay at the higher levels and you look for the good.
You defined a miracle before, and I sometimes think of a miracle, there are many ways to define one, but where something is suddenly possible that you had no idea was possible before. It appears in your life,
Right.
and you said it hit Tony Hicks
Yes.
like a log in the head.
Yes.
Who would have imagined that you could have forgiven him?
Right.
It transformed something inside of him, because that possibility never existed until it showed up in the face of Azim.
Absolutely. Right.
Now, this is what forgiveness does for ourselves, but for somebody else. We don't do it for them, but it happens. When the quality of the forgiveness and it's authentic, it's there. It transforms outward situations we never could.
Right.
Through words, through actions.
Right.
You need say nothing, do nothing.
Right.
If you truly forgive inside, it's energetic. It spreads like a miracle.
Right. It spreads, as you say, and it spreads like a virus.
A good one, though. A good virus.
We have a lot of good Sufi poets.
I love Sufis.
And Kabir said, he says, I was out playing under the stars in the full moon last night, and I caught the happiness virus. It is very contagious, so kiss me. And I think that you could substitute the happiness to forgiveness.
Yeah.
I caught the forgiveness virus. It is very contagious, so kiss me.